That's a good one. Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo. Glad you all could be with us. As we start our meeting today, I'd like to ask Member Kelly Trame to come to the podium to deliver a reflection and to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Kelly.
Please join me in the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not seek much, to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is giving that we receive, and it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. As we begin our meeting today, I'd like to thank and acknowledge Principal Business Enterprises as this month's sponsor. So thank you to past District Governor Chuck Stocking. I know we've got a few, but if you have a guest with you today, please bring them to the floor mic and introduce them.
President Travis, it's my pleasure to introduce Diana Bush, who's here from Read for Literacy. We sponsor particularly the Claire's Day program through Read for Literacy, and she'll say 2 words about that.
2 words? Well, thank you. There's 2 words. I want to just thank you guys. You supported the Claire's Day Toledo Care Awards at about 400 students from Toledo Public Schools in kindergarten through 8th grade who received care awards, recognizing their overcoming their struggles with reading. Dr. Durant is here. He is so gracious every year to come and take as many photos as necessary. And each of those students received a book by one of our visiting authors and illustrators that they could have autographed to themselves. So thank you so much. I don't know if you know how much it means. There are some photos outside in the library. And please mark your calendars for May 4th this year for Claire's Day Toledo.
Excellent. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everything you do. You guys do great work. Thank you.
Hi, Travis. I'd like to introduce my good friend, Dave Singh. He's a clinical psychologist. Dave doesn't know this, but he's a prospective member of the Rotary Club.
Attaboy, Chuck.
Tell him about that in a minute. And I also told him he couldn't say anything, so thank you.
Glad you're here.
Good morning, President Travis. I'd like to welcome Jessica Donnelly. She's our development coordinator for Ann Gray Services Development Team. She's on my team. I can't even remember her title. So welcome, Miss Jessica.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. I'd like to introduce Brandy Alexander. She is the owner and lead strategist of Tandem Tide Marketing.
Excellent. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to introduce Tasia Awad and Crystal Smith. Tasia oversees our fund development, and Crystal oversees our communication. Thank you.
Great. Glad you're here. Welcome. Thomas.
Travis, I have the pleasure of introducing my daughter Tracy and my wife Vicki, and I'm hoping that Tracy is a future member and a 4th generation roamer in the club.
Welcome, guys. Great to see you both.
Fellow Rotarians, today I have with me Rachel Petropoulos. She's the Sustainability Specialist at SIFT, which is the Center for Food Innovation and Technology.
Excellent. Welcome. Thanks to all of you for bringing your guests. I love seeing those lines. At this time, I'd like to ask Jim Lehman to come to the podium and introduce a short video.
Thanks, Travis. As many of you know, I'm Jim Lehman. I'm privileged to be the chairman of the Rotary Club Foundation right now. And I'm up here today to promote participation in our club's annual campaign and to introduce another one of Phil Maricy's videos presenting one of our members' reasons for giving and highlighting another of the dozens of worthwhile causes that we support. You've heard messages from several members of our campaign committee since we launched this year's campaign, and our goal is to provide frequent updates of our progress and to continuously work to get every member of the club to participate at some level. You should know that the amount of financial support that we provide to organizations in our community is a direct result of the success of our annual campaign. One component of our grant budget is the average of the past 3 annual campaigns. The other component is a draw of 5% of the average of the past 12 quarterly balances in our endowment. We're trying to foster a culture of giving in our club that encourages every member to consider support for our fundraising efforts to be as much a part of their membership as attending weekly meetings. We know our goals are ambitious, but we have a great team working on the campaign, and we are confident that you all, being the kind of people who join Rotary, will recognize the importance of this effort. I'd like to express gratitude for those of you who've already contributed to the campaign, and hopefully the video that we're about to see will encourage anyone else to give it some thoughtful consideration and participate in this year's campaign. Thanks.
Why do I support the Toledo Rotary Foundation? I know the impact that Toledo Rotary Foundation and its members make to our area nonprofit organizations. For a larger organization, perhaps with a larger project or a new program that they want to start, having the support of Toledo Rotary lends support to that project and credibility to other funders to get behind it and to support it. For small organizations with maybe a new project or a smaller project that are extremely vetted by our service committees, the support of Rotary can make the difference between a project going forward or a project being shelved.
Projects like the Transition to Work program for people with traumatic brain injuries. On average, they happen 15 times a day in Northwest Ohio. The Traumatic Brain Injury Resource Center provides wraparound services. The Transition to Work program helps those with mild TBI and concussions rejoin the workforce and successfully manage their workdays.
That's why I support our foundation.
The campaign goal is $125,000 and 100% participation, with an interim goal of $75,000 by December 31st. If that's met, the past presidents will kick in an additional $15,000 of their own. Your Toledo Rotary Foundation. Impact in action.
You can always tell when Jim's been up here. Jim, thank you. For those who would like to take a snap of a QR code and be able to donate, that QR code will do that for you there. It was stated in the goal, in the video, but again, all the impact that we're all so proud of in this club, our outreach into our local community and across the globe, all is based on this campaign. So anything that you can contribute, we appreciate. And thank you in advance, or if you already have donated, thank you very much. Moving on, Alec Falkenberg, will you please come to the podium for a quick membership update?
Hello, everyone. Alec Falkenberg, membership chair this year. So I am excited to announce January 1st, 2024, we are kicking off a membership campaign. So at the beginning of our Rotary year, I came up here and gave a really big goal, and I said, let's bring in 100 new members by bringing in 250 guests. And guess what? You guys took me seriously. I don't know what you were thinking. I could not be more excited and thankful to let you know that we are at 43 new members, which has completely surpassed all of last year in the first 4 to 5 months. So thank you all. Many of you have come up and said you're doing a really good job with membership, and as my committee knows, I haven't done any of that. That's all you. So thank you for making me look great. Kicking off this year, our Rotary International theme is to create hope in the world. So I wanted to go off of that theme and have us create hope in our community. As you all know, we're not here just to get out of work or to have a lunch. We're here to elevate our community. And therefore, this membership campaign, I want us to try and reach that goal of 100 new members. But more importantly, I want us to find the members that are looking for us. So I have a quote up here, a rising tide lifts all boats. We are here to elevate and enhance our community, so we're looking for people that might be looking for us. Do you have a coworker, a friend, a neighbor, someone in your community that is looking for leadership, looking to gain leadership or provide their leadership? That's who we're looking for. I couldn't care less if we get to 100 new members. What I care more about is making sure that these seats are filled with people that are going to put in their effort, put their 2 cents in, and make sure this organization continues to thrive. So with that being said, January 1st, we're kicking this off. We have some prizes. So first prize for the top recruiter, we are going to give you something, a clothing attire with top recruiter written on there. So we want everyone to know who's working hard. And then those that bring in at least 2 new members, your name is going to get put into a raffle for a gift card. So if you've got questions, if you know someone that needs to come here, please bring them as a guest. We would love to reach our goal, but more importantly, let's make this continuously the best organization in the area. Thank you.
Thanks, Alec, and thanks to everybody on the membership committee. That committee's been working really hard this year. I think they're doing a great job not only entertaining everybody in the room, but also driving the message of what our club's all about out into the community as well. As you can see up there, I'm beating everybody, so you better start catching up. I can't lift everything on my own, damn it. I'll throw a buck in later. Okay, no, seriously, thank you to everybody you see up there, but again, think of everybody in your life. Who do you know that you know has the spirit of leadership, the spirit of community, who wants to see Toledo be the best it can be? Those are the people we're looking for. So please, please keep those kind of people in mind. Bring them out to lunch. We'd love to see them. Moving on. Yolanda Durden, will you please come to the podium and introduce new member Tasha Hussein Black?
Good afternoon, President Tenjamin, fellow Rotarians, and guests. I love seeing the guests from St. Ursula. I just have to say that while I have the microphone, because I'm from St. Ursula. My name is Yolanda Durden, and it is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Tasha Hussein Black as a new member of the Rotary of Toledo. Tasha currently is the Vice President of Strategic Initiatives, Marketing, and Communications at Owens Community College, where she leads the marketing strategy and strategic priorities for the institution. During her career, she has led a breadth of diverse teams in a variety of roles. She served as Vice President of Marketing for the Andersons Incorporated for more than a decade, was the Vice President of Sales for the Image Group, as well as the Vice President for the Regional Growth Partnership. She also held the position of Director of Marketing for Hickory Farms. Most recently, she was a consultant providing area nonprofit organizations marketing, change management, and strategic planning services. She serves as an adjunct professor at Bowling Green State University, where she teaches managing change in organizations in the Department of Management. Tasha strives to make positive changes in our community. She serves on the board of directors of WGTE Public Media. She also volunteers for the Islamic Food Bank, where she focuses on food security or insecurity among student populations in regional K through 12 school systems and institutions for higher education. She is a member of the Regional Food Insecurity Task Force through the United Way of Greater Toledo, as well as a mentor in the student-led organization Women in Business Leadership at BGSU. Tasha is also a member of the Sales and Marketing Advisory Board in the College of Business at Owens Community College. Tasha resides in Holland, Ohio, with her husband, Kevin. On many weekends, you can find her in the Columbus area, cheering on the Buckeyes and spending time, yes, spending time with her daughter and her family, as well as her son, who is a student at The Ohio State University. We've been friends for over 40 years, and I'm proud to introduce her as a new Rotarian.
Thank you. Just a few words. I know the Ohio State thing might be divisive in this crowd, so we're just going to move on. It is my pleasure to represent Owens Community College here, and it is also wonderful to see so many people that I know I have worked with over the years, and I look forward to meeting those of you that I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you, Londa. Welcome, Tasha. Mark Arudia, will you please come to the podium for a massive new member introduction of all those from F&M Bank? And you even come with a fan club. I love it. All right.
I think we're going to have a guest presenter then, is that right? So it is my great pleasure to introduce to you the newest corporate members of the Rotary Club of Toledo, Farmers and Merchant State Bank, or F&M State Bank. You are here. Okay, I was looking for you. Thank you.
Oh, I'm with a bunch of men over there.
Aha, okay. We do, I don't know if you know this, we do allow a limited number of men in the Toledo Rotary Club, so you're at their table. Okay. Back to the script, sorry about that. I actually was introduced to these new members, really community leaders, through a longtime professional friend of mine, Brenda Mossing, who also works for F&M Bank and is a member of the Rotary Club of Waterville. So I would encourage you all to seek out your friends and colleagues in other Rotary clubs for referrals to this Rotary Club and vice versa, including our Rotaract Club. So don't forget that. Let's see. Becca Tkachek, I got it right. With a name like Arudia, you know we have to stick together, is a personal banking relationship supervisor. Crystal Jordan is the bank's development officer, and Timothy DeCant is the commercial banking assistant vice president. They are all great people and tremendous professionals in the banking industry. Becca was born in Toledo and currently lives in Oregon. She is a member of the Toledo Regional Chamber of Commerce, the International Society of Female Professionals, and is actively involved in the Oregon Rec Sports Program. Crystal lives in South Toledo and originally from Battle Creek, Michigan. Her interests are her grandchildren, and she's involved with Mom's House, Sylvania Area Family Services, Habitat for Humanity, and the LPGA. Tim also lives in Toledo, or is a native of Toledo, and lives in Sylvania Township. His interests include sports, the outdoors, and travel. He looks forward to the opportunity to serve with influential individuals, all of you, in Toledo and Northwest Ohio, and promote the values of being a Rotarian. Please help me welcome our newest corporate members, represented by Becca, Crystal, and Tim, to Toledo Rotary. Short and sweet.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Welcome, everybody. Glad to see you all. Next up, oh, there we are. Actually, I don't have a whole lot to say because I know we're tight on time today. I want to get to the speakers. So real quick, for those who came to the holiday party last week, it was a great event. It was a beautiful venue. We had a lot of fun. I do want to say a special thank you to Donna Bogan from Hartman Bogan Financial for sponsoring the event. And also to Hannah Murad and Toledo Building Services for sponsoring parking. So thank you to all of them. Like I said, it was a great time. It was a wonderful, eclectic group of the members. We had new, we had old, we had everybody. It was a lot of fun. So thank you to all who came out. And with that, let's get into a program. I would like to ask Jean Dries to come to the podium and introduce today's speakers.
Thanks, President Travis. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. I'm going to quickly read just parts of Dr. Singh and Tamme Smith's bio due to time because I think you really want to hear their message. I personally have worked with Tamme with the DART office of Lucas County Sheriffs for years in various capacities, and Dr. Singh and I had worked together at a previous job and is with us at UTMC. So real quick, I'll just read you the first part about Tamme Smith, but she has just been a force to reckon in this topic. A distinguished leader in the public service industry with an impressive track record spanning over 25 years. Mrs. Smith has made substantial contributions to this field. Many are familiar with her outstanding work in the DART forensic counselor, as a DART forensic counselor at the esteemed Lucas County Sheriff's Department. She also sits on numerous boards and committees. She facilitates drug awareness workshops, participates in ongoing outreach, as well as writes and facilitates implementation grants for the Sheriff's Office. So lots more, but that gives you a snippet on Tamme. Dr. Singh, as I mentioned, I've worked with him over many years, and he is a force to be reckoned with both in child and adolescent psychiatry, as well as substance abuse treatment. Dr. Singh has completed his medical school in India, his residency at UTMC, and a fellowship in child adolescent psychiatry also at UTMC. He is the professor in the Department of Psychiatry at UTMC, and he oversees our child and adolescent division, as well as being medical director over all of our recovery services, which involves inpatient and outpatient treatment. So again, he's triple boarded, so those in the medical field will understand that. In addiction medicine and child adolescent psychiatry, and his special interests include obviously addiction and youth and what's going on with our youth. So with that, I have the pleasure of working with Dr. Singh, and this is Tamme from DART. Thanks.
Good morning. How's everyone doing? Good, good. So before I do get started, I want to draw your attention to the back corner of the room. Back there in that back corner, there is a mock bedroom that has been set up. Has over 50 indicators of high-risk behaviors, i.e. drugs. Okay. Not real drugs, because I would get arrested for bringing those here. But there are drug paraphernalia and things over there for you to search through. Everything that is in that space is safe for you to touch. I really do want you to kind of toss the room, pretend like you're a detective for the day. Get in there, kind of look around, and see what you can find. Again, if you start feeling a little funny after you do that, I'm going to have to question, what did you eat for lunch? Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So we are here today to talk about press pills. May I have the next slide, please? Or do I have the? Thank you. All right. There is an organization, it's called OSAM. OSAM provides a database for individuals to look at it. It is available 2 times a year. What they do is they go around the state of Ohio and they ask individuals what is it that they're seeing in their community as far as substances.
Where is it that they're getting the drugs from? Are we seeing increases, decreases, that kind of thing? So if you look here on this wonderful little chart, I've highlighted Toledo. And if you notice, every single section in Toledo is highlighted red. High, right? We have high for cocaine. We have high for crack. We have high for methamphetamine. We have high for marijuana. MDMA, which is ecstasy, moderately high, right? Moderate to high. And then, of course, fentanyl, high. What that's an indicator of is that those substances that are high are what's available at any given moment in time. If we left this building, I could probably score any one of those on one of these corners outside. May I have next, please? One of the questions that we need to ask ourselves is, what is fentanyl, right? Why is it that we're up here talking about fentanyl? Okay. What did we find? What did we find? Tell me, tell me. Okay, so that was right on time. I didn't pay him for that either. All right. So fentanyl is a 100%, it is a semi-synthetic opiate. When we talk about opiates, there are three classifications of opiates. You have natural, semi-synthetic, and fully synthetic. Fentanyl falls into the classification of fully synthetic, okay? Heroin falls into the classification of semi-synthetic. When we kind of compare the difference, how many in here drink coffee or tea? Perfect. All right. How many put sugar in their coffee or tea? All right. So when we think about those little sugar packets, all right, those little Splendas, those little sugar packets, those little pink and blue sugar packets, that's 1 gram. 1 gram of heroin is enough to kill us. All right. Now, if I open that sugar packet and I now say that that sugar packet is fentanyl, I'd have to take a pinch of the substance out of that packet, and now that pinch is enough to kill me. Okay. Big difference, right? Fentanyl is anywhere between 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine. May I have next slide, please? Is this my clicker? Perfect, thank you. When we talk about fentanyl, again, what we see over the course of the years, right, is a dramatic increase in fentanyl overdoses that have taken place not only locally, but nationwide and worldwide. All right. When we talk about the number of pills that have been seized by law enforcement, in 2021, we were up to 9 million. I'm going to even round it up a little bit. I'm going to say 10 million. What's frightening is when we look at this. 2023, we're up to 86 million pills that have been seized with fentanyl. 86 million. That is an increase from 2022 of 58. And if we think back, 2021, again, I bumped that number up to 10 million, right? So it's a staggering increase. When we have lab testing done, lab testing indicates that 7 out of the 10 pills that have been collected have some form of fentanyl inside them, okay? What does that tell us? Well, we know fentanyl is everywhere. It's in everything, right? We see it in the headlines. Take a look at the headlines, right? Starting back in 2020, 2022, right? Drug traffickers are intentionally marketing fentanyl pills to pharmaceutical opiates, right? Here in Ohio, we had Lorain Police, which is down in Cleveland. They had a really huge bust. They seized pills they determined were actually fentanyl press pills. Again, if we go down a little further, the DEA warns of brightly colored fentanyl pills. Brightly colored. Why would they be brightly colored? Again, if we go down a little further, We see in New York, individuals have been caught with huge amounts of fentanyl, enough to kill millions. That seize took place in a daycare center. The one right above it, right, was a law enforcement personnel. This one really hurts me. It's a law enforcement personnel that was determined to be part of a cartel from Mexico and was part of the individuals that were supplying the chain in California, right? This is the headlines. This is what we're seeing. What we're gonna do is we're gonna play a little bit of a game. You all like games? I'm a social worker, I like games. I like audience participation, all right? So, what we're gonna do is if you believe the answer to be A, you're gonna raise your hand. If you believe the answer to be B, you'll keep your hand down, okay? Does everyone understand the rule of the game? A is hand up, B is hand down. Let's get going. Can you identify the fake Adderall? Is it A or is it B? What do you think? If you think it's A, raise your hand. The fake Adderall pill. It is B. Okay? Let's try another one. Oxycodone. Do you think it's A or B? If you think it's A, raise your hand. The fake pill, fake pill. Fake one is B. Okay, now as you're doing this little game, right, keep in mind, these are medications that are easily obtained in high school. Okay, let's do the next one. Xanax. Is it A or is it B? I think I'm faking a lot of people out, right? Hey, it's really difficult to determine whether or not the pill is fake or if it's real, right? And if it's difficult for you to figure that out as an adult, how difficult is it for our kiddos who are the drug is actually being introduced to them in the school system? Okay? It is absolutely crucial that we educate our kids about prescription medications, right? That we talk to them about how the medications are being distributed on social media, that we talk to them in regards to mail order, right? That we talk to them about the fact that the substance that they might be buying or even being given in a school system is not necessarily the actual drug that they're thinking that it is, right? The only place we should be getting that medication from is the nurse, right? Or a trusted adult, okay? Dr. Singh is gonna go ahead and continue this little conversation.
Hi, so when you are dealing with a complex problem, the most important thing is try to understand it, because that's the only way you can find a solution. So the question is, what are these substances? So these substances, the drugs, it's different. People don't consume it because they taste great. So why do people consume it? Because this is basically a consumption of emotions. So these substances is a package of emotions. And emotions is the essence of our human existence. We do everything based on emotions, the interest, the motivation, the sense of responsibility. So these substances kind of hijack the basis of achieving those emotions. So you achieve those emotions by just the consumption of these substances. So that's why, what is the breeding ground for this addiction? Why we are still not able to get rid of it? So just to give you a context how serious the problem is, so methadone, which resulted in an average 1,000 deaths based on accidental overdoses, led to so many legislation, and it can only be prescribed in a federally regulated clinics. But now we have these drug overdoses killing over 109, 110,000 people for many years. So that gives you an idea of the time we are living in. So what's the breeding ground? So mental health challenges is one of the biggest breeding ground. Like I said, these substances are basically emotions. And another thing which is very interesting is all these substances have a pain relieving property. Whether it is opioids, whether it is alcohol kind of relaxes you too. Cocaine kind of feel you motivated to. It was used in anesthesia too. So all these have this relieving property, which becomes a trap. And I don't know how many people know that the physical pain and the emotional pain show up in the brain in the same way. So anterior cingulate cortex, the prefrontal areas, they're all lit up when you are in pain, whether it is emotional or whether it is physical. That gives you an idea when you have emotional pain and you have these substances, it can be a deadly mix. So like you can see, drug overdose, 109,680, 73,000 fentanyl. So what are the press pills? Press pills are basically just an entry point. Like entry point was OxyContin, but now because of all the regulation, it's hard to find OxyContin. But the key is the demand is still there. And when the demand is still there, somebody is going to try to make a buck out of it. And they will find something else. So now the entry point has become press pills, the fake pills. And the reason it is such a strong entry point is nobody is going to start, like very few people can start shooting drugs in themselves or snorting drugs in themselves. But many more would be okay to swallow a pill and experiment to see if it makes them feel something different, which they never felt before. And that's how it all starts. And then when you feel different, you want to feel even more different, and then you develop tolerance, and then you don't hesitate to even snort it or even shoot it. Like some people, they are chasing emotions. The childhood neglect, the social connectivity is one of our survival circuit. So if you have a childhood neglect, you don't form attachments. So you always stay in a state of loneliness, which is emotional pain. And even if you have relationships around you, because it's such a biological, a neurobiological phenomena. So such people, they are easy prey to these substances once they consume them. Trauma. Trauma means fear. It activates the powerful negative circuits. But once there is a childhood trauma, you are stuck in a state of fear. And any negative emotion which we all feel in our day-to-day life, the brain activates it and makes it a traumatic fear. So again, like I was saying, then you're living a life of pain, and these substances provide relief to that pain. And then that's how the whole thing starts. So these press pills, which are like said, is the new trend, the new entry point. Now it is 35 states. They have been seized in 35 states. And another issue here is the cost of medications. The cost of medications are extremely expensive in our country. So many people, they go on these internet sites, and it's not just the Xanax or the Adderall. It goes to blood pressure medications, blood thinners. People can find it through the internet to get it much cheaper. But unfortunately, many times it is laced with fentanyl or some other opiate or something else which is illicit. And then it becomes an entry point. Because once emotions are involved, as we all know, things do go out of control. So what's the killer? The killer is the variability in the fentanyl strength. So it's not consistent. So if it was consistent, probably we're not going to be losing so many people. So if we know, okay, it is 50 times more potent than heroin and 100 times more potent than morphine, then people adjust to it. Everybody's going to calculate their fentanyl strength based on this awareness. The problem is it varies based on patch to patch. So whatever is coming from wherever, there's going to be a variability. You can have a patch which might be 70 times more potent than heroin, and you can have a patch which is 10 times more potent. And with this opioid, you lose tolerance, like how much your body, brain can tolerate. You lose tolerance very rapidly. So if you had a weaker patch, your tolerance is much less, and then that is followed by much more potent patch, you are dead. No matter how much cautious you are, because of such a long range of potency, it's just a deadly mix. So just 2 milligrams of fentanyl equal to 10-15 grams of the table salt is a lethal dose, and you can have an idea. Fentanyl used for the multi-hour heart surgeries around half mg. But the real killer is the variability. It's the variability in the potency. Many of the users, they are so cautious, so cautious, but they still end up dead. And this is totally unprecedented in the global history. We never had that many deaths from the opioid use, from the synthetic. So now coming to the press pills, actually the machine costs only $500. There's not really any law against their possession. The only difference is the press pills, they break easily, because this machine is more based for a different reason, so it's not going to integrate and make it look much more firm. So that pill might break easily, might turn into powder easily. So what the conclusion is, yeah, like all the other substances, they're highly addictive, the high risk of overdose, and the youth, highly vulnerable. But youth can be the game changer, because when you deal with addiction, prevention is the best cure. Now, 85% of the people stay substance user and only 15% go on to addiction. The definition of addiction is when you lose control. Like somebody wants to quit, but they just cannot quit. That's only 15%, and it's a long window. Even a heroin user who's shooting heroin, it can take well over a year before their brain reaches a point of addiction. So it is somewhat of a choice for a pretty long period of time before you lose that choice. And that's the period where screening, early intervention can be so effective. The brain changes are very subtle. So the person who's using it would not know once from a choice it has become a compulsion. So people around them might be the best way to help these people. Thank you.
Definitely have time for questions. If anybody would like to ask questions?
Excellent presentation. My question is that what percentage of addiction is due to physicians' prescriptions? Well, during the 90s, they used to tell us that everybody has to be pain-free. Now they reversed that position by the Joint Commission in Chicago. But in your experience, what percentage of people are addicted due to physicians?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. Like, obviously we don't have a concrete data, but the way I look at it is the COVID. So COVID, the mortality rates are how much? Is really, really low. But once you have the prevalence, which gets higher and higher and higher, more likely you're going to have the number of victims high too. So that's how it goes with the opioid exposure is. So if the prescriptions are given to more and more people, you're more likely to hit the ones who are vulnerable ones. So there is a link there, but like I said, nowadays that thing is kind of taken care of because there is so much of regulation that pain prescriptions are not easy to obtain, and that's where we have now the press pill concept or the street drugs available for people to consume. So again, coming back to your question, the number is going to be pretty low where you will say addiction directly linked to just the pain prescription, but there is a role which it does play. And it did play a much bigger role in 2013-12.
So I see the problem and been working with the problem for over 15 years, and it depresses me because I see the drug situation in this country worse than it was when I first became a judge. I've seen the money that we have poured into the problem. I've seen the efforts by so many people. You're absolutely right, the prescription issue has been addressed somewhat in a legal manner, but there are still a lot of drugs out there, and the latest one is the fentanyl, which is very scary because of the reasons you've explained. Even the dealers don't know sometimes that what they're getting is fake. And the people, therefore, who are using don't know it's fake and the consequences. I have seen people addicted who have tried to get off, and we spend a lot of money trying to help people get off the drugs. The drugs, the addiction knows no race, knows no wealth. It's like cancer. You don't know who's going to be able to succeed once they become hooked on it. All of that is a long way of getting to my question, and I apologize. You're right, the demand is there. The supply is there. And even though we make great effort in the system to get the dealers and the suppliers, when they're out of the country, it's very difficult. It's very easy to get drugs here. The U.S. Postal Service will deliver it to your doorstep from China or Russia or Mexico or elsewhere. We can't have dogs sniffing in every postal office in the country. So the big question is, how do we beat this problem? Years ago, we had the slogan, just say no to drugs, right? And here we are, this many years later. I tell people we are under attack, literally under attack. Not through guns, not through bombs. The drugs are literally pulling this country down on a variety of fronts. So, from your perspective, your crystal ball, have you got an answer to how we win this war?
Yeah, like I said, something like this, prevention is the best cure, and it is our youth. It is our youth. Yeah, we put so much resources in the treatment of addiction, but once somebody has reached a point of addiction, it's a cat and mouse race. No matter how much money you pump in, it's a drag. Yeah, success is still there, but it's a long, long road. So you have to go for the youth. That's where the change can happen. And that's what we at, I'm a professor in University of Toledo, and that's what we intend to do in this coming year, is come up with a well-run and well-directed program which is focused on the substance use in youth in the area. Thank you.
Can I take that too? Thank you. He is correct in the fact that it does need to start with the youth. And I actually see a friendly face in here, Dr. Durant. Dr. Durant has actually partnered with the Sheriff's Office. We do have a program inside of TPS where it's not just us that are in there talking to youth as early as like 3rd grade in regards to substance use disorders and substances. But there is Tackle, there is Harbor. So there are programs in play that are actually starting to address this issue. DART we just completed a 3-year grant under the federal government where we did a study. I worked with professionals from around the nation and developed a curriculum for TPS, and we've actually launched it in their high schools. The preliminary data it shows very good progress in regards to decreasing the thought process and decreasing the desire for the students who are currently using to actually stop the use, right? So not only do we need to do the prevention piece, but we also need to address the students that are currently using. So thank you, Dr. Durant, for letting us into the system.
Harry mentioned the Just Say No campaign of the late 70s and all throughout the 80s. And I also remember coming of age at that time, we were told that things like marijuana and alcohol are gateway drugs ultimately to heroin. It was the only thing back then. From my career and also from other walks of life that I've been on, I've come to a very strong conclusion that there just isn't a gateway drug anymore. I happen to know a number of people who've told me they've gone directly to fentanyl or directly to heroin because it was there, it was available at a party. Boyfriend had it and they started using it. There was no gateway to it at all. Can you say that's accurate or not accurate? What is the general position of law enforcement and the academic community on gateway drugs now, especially in light of the fact that marijuana will soon be legal here in Ohio and has been just 15 miles north of here for a long time?
Yeah. So yeah, that's a great question. Like being a child psychiatrist and a specialist in addiction, what I have seen clearly, the real gateway is those vulnerable kids it's the health of the society. It's the parent-child interaction. Because that's where vulnerability is created. And then, adolescents experiment all the time. We won't be able to change their experimentation. But that's when the vulnerable kids are exposed to those substances. This whole thing starts. Yeah, as far as the scientific evidence goes, the exposure to the gateway drugs, like you were saying, the cannabis, alcohol, even nicotine at an earlier age, like if it is less than 15 years old, less than 14-year-old, it does change their brain and makes them more vulnerable to developing addiction, which is lack of control over substance use, even later on in their life.
No, thank you. I'm piggying off of him. He is 100% correct. You are the doctor, so yes, you are 100% correct. But in addition to that, the other thing that I want to challenge you on is, not you, but the community, is to think about, it's not just those drugs that are introduced to youth at an early age, right? We have youth that are taking a prescribed medication at age 5. A prescribed medication at age 6, right? What is that doing to our brain, right? Isn't that changing some of the pathways within the brain, right? And then it's creating a development of tolerance and so on, right? So that later on in life, when they do possibly use a substance, it might not necessarily take as long for it to affect them, right? So yeah, and then what he's talking about is ACEs.
Just, is there any general recognition in the professional community that people are going straight to fentanyl and straight to heroin without ever having smoked a joint in their lives, without even maybe having an alcohol problem?
DART has been around since 2014, and we've engaged about 8,000 individuals. And I can tell you that a majority of those individuals have indicated there's a progression, right? Generally, they are not just waking up one day and like, oh, I'm gonna go try some fentanyl today. Oh, I'm gonna go try some heroin today, right? It's not that. It's something smaller that's leading into the other substance. Now, excuse me, what we are seeing in the community is, say, for example, an individual that is smoking marijuana, right? And especially nowadays, because marijuana is being poisoned, i.e. laced, right, with fentanyl. And because fentanyl, it creates more of a demand within my system than it does for marijuana, then they're gonna go back continually, right? So yeah.
And I'll add another thing too, like we're talking about the emotion. So if you ask a heroin addict how they feel when they consume it, they would say, it feels as if my mom is giving me a hug. It's like affection part. And it is a neuroscientific basis because opiates are linked with oxytocin, which is the hormone secreted with the bonding and attachment between a child and a mother. So there is much bigger story behind it, why that happens and why it is still keep on happening.
So I know there's a lot more questions, and I apologize, I need to cut it off, but would you be willing to stick around for questions afterwards? That'd be fantastic. Thank you very much. I'm sorry to have to cut it off like that. Thank you both so much for being here today and for presenting. I do have a copy of Historical Tales of Toledo for each of you, which was authored by our past president, Clint Mock. We also will be making a donation in both of your names to the Polio Plus campaign to eradicate the world of polio. So again, thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate it. Okay, next week is the annual Holiday Symphony Concert. So that's a fun one. Bring guests if you'd like. It should be a fabulous time. Thanks to all who brought donations for the Lucas County Children's Services. Don't forget that we'll be having a gift wrapping social that's hosted by Rotarian Hannah Murad over there. That'll be on Wednesday at your office, correct? Toledo Building Services. So come out and help out with that. I know I did it. Go ahead and throw the dollar in the swear jar now. Sorry about that. There is one meeting this afternoon. The membership committee will be meeting in Summit A, and then also Youth Services in Summit B. Is that correct? Okay, so there's two, not one. I can't read. Anyway, with that, everybody go out into the community, create hope in the world, spread the gospel of Rotary, keep doing what you're doing, be great people, have a wonderful week. We're adjourned.